This is Legally Goff, where we mix law, pop culture, and the occasional chaos of real life. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Brooke Goff, lawyer, businesswoman, and professional truth teller. Buckle up, this isn't your grandma's legal podcast. From mob wives to headlines that never stop chasing her, Renee Graziano has lived a life most people wouldn't last 5 minutes in. And she's still standing, still fighting, and still saying exactly what everyone else is too afraid to say. Nothing's off limits, not the past, not the drama, not the truth. Renee, welcome to Legally Goff. Let's get into it. We were talking a little bit about mob wives and all that, and I want to get into that.
Let's do it.
But I really want to talk about the story that we don't really know a lot about with you, your early life. Okay. I know you've addressed it sometimes, but the real big question I have is, what's it like growing up as the daughter of what we would consider a mob boss?
Okay, so I have like this really big smile on my face right now because my childhood was wonderful. There were no mishaps in my house. Like my father didn't go to jail until I was 21, so I had my dad all my younger years. I think for me, it was looking back and knowing what life is really about and comparing my son's life to my childhood. I lived in a fairy tale land. My father we never wanted for anything, ever. There was never a question of, Dad, can we afford to? There was nothing like that. My dad, there was always a limousine outside to take us to whatever restaurant. It was a beautiful childhood. And yes, it was very much a mob, like a fantasy land. For anybody that's looking into it and looks like Goodfellas. Okay, the Goodfella aspect would come for the man. But for the daughters it was much more glamorous and we weren't affected. Sorry, it is a little chilly.
No, it's okay.
It wasn't. I wasn't touched by what was out in the street. Sure. So I really lived in a mob bubble. Let's put it that way. I lived in a mob bubble.
How old were you when you realized who you were?
I knew I was different when I was young because we did more than the other families, but I didn't understand it until probably about 16 years old. And I've told this, but it's actually really funny to me. I was at the end of the bar with another wise guy's son, and a wise guy walked over and he said to him, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Oh, this is TG's daughter." And the guy said, "Oh, yeah, her father's a captain." And I said, "My father doesn't drive a boat."
Yeah.
He's like, "What?" I go, "My father doesn't sail a ship. Tell him." And my friend looked at me and he said, "Go home and talk to your dad." Because I didn't understand. And then, I joke, not that my father really has ever sat down and said anything to me, but I said, well, other kids learned about birds and bees. I learned about captains and soldiers. Like that was how different I was. But once I knew who I was, let me tell you, I made sure I told everybody, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Like I was so proud. And I know that sounds so silly. People are like, oh, you're proud of your criminal father? And I was proud of my dad. Because my dad protected me more than people that have security around them all the time. Like I always felt protected. So I was proud of my father as a father. And yeah, my father did his thing and did his time for it too.
What are some of the craziest memories you have of being a child, like affiliated with the mob stuff?
The day that the feds probably came through the house with sledgehammers and went through, they were looking for a friend of my father. My father got in trouble many years ago on a huge gambling ring. Matter of fact, I was watching I'm not even a huge Yankee fan because I'm not a baseball fan. I love the Yankees, but I'm watching this story about the Yankees and all of a sudden it talks about the mob. And there's my father's photo because he got pinched. So Pete Rose didn't get inducted to the Hall of Fame because of my father. Well, the feds came in then. So they came in with sledgehammers and, took him away. And I was like, where is this person that's taking you from me? I want his phone number. I was 13 years old, So for me, that was my first experience with the cops and crime.
I want to talk a little bit about your ex-husband, Hector, right? Mm-hmm. How did you meet him?
So I met my ex-husband. I have a thing with numbers, so forgive me. It's not like
it's fine.
It's not like I really care about him that much. I just have a photographic memory with numbers. So I met him in May of 1990. I was engaged by July 21st. So I met him. I got engaged a month and 19 days after I met him. He had just come home from jail. He was handsome. To me, he was going to be like my knight in shining armor. However, he was nothing but tinfoil. You know what I mean? So I really was enamored by that life and that man. However, the man that I married was, you marry for protection, but I needed protection from who I married.
Was he already affiliated with the mob or like crime stuff before you had met him? I know he was in prison. In his mind. Oh, in his mind. So talk to me about that.
His first, so I didn't know him prior to meeting him actually that day because he was in jail. He got in trouble for gun trafficking. And you know what? Let me be 100% honest. And this is the first time I actually have to do this. He is such a bad person in my world. And he is such a horrible human to me that I actually don't really want to talk about this rat fuck. Excuse my language. Like, if we're going to ask questions, let's just keep it where I don't have to, because now there's legal troubles for me all of a sudden. Sure. So what I can tell you is this. He's an informant. He turned on my family, the family that provided for him, the family that was there for him. He didn't have his mom passed away when he was young. He didn't have much of a father. My parents were so close to him. So it's so sensitive. And I think it's my father. We're coming up on 7 years from my dad. So it's a very touchy subject for me today. I understand. But, I can tell you what I think of him. And what I think of him is he's not much of a man to be, to do that, come and infiltrate a family, to get down on one knee and propose to me in front of everyone in Atlantic City, all while you're cooperating for the government. And it's even more of a shame that the government allowed it to happen.
But can I ask, because if you don't mind, you can tell me if it's, I will. I will be respectful. We saw him, I think it's season 2 of Mob Wives, right? I think it was season 2 when he kind of came back, because you were divorced when it started.
He came back while I was in the hospital. So, So he ends up on he was gone by season 2. You saw bits. So I forget. For me, it's like, I don't know when it comes out. So he was the end of season 1 and a little bit of season 2.
Okay. So do you feel like, so you guys were divorced, but you had an okay relationship prior to?
No, my relationship with him has always been trash. Okay. And for me, I had a lot to look at myself. That why would I want to be with a man who was, emotionally abusive, physically abusive? Like, why? I had to learn a lot about myself after that. Like, why would I allow that? Or anyone, not just him, any, loser in my life. When I come from such a strong background, I come from my father was an amazing man. So for me, I had to really take a good look at me. Like, what was wrong with me that I would allow this to happen to me?
Well, I think that there's not many people in your position that, when you go back to the informant piece, would ever expect that. I mean, who would? That's stuff like you see on TV. It's not real life, right? So who would expect that? I think you're putting a lot on yourself there. But
I don't put that on me, Brooke. That's not something I blame myself for. I blame myself for what was it about him that I stayed through all the abuse and I didn't get up and leave? Whether it's verbal, physical, emotional, any type of word of abuse is abuse. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get into all of that because that's where we have the sticky situation. However, for me, the betrayal was worse than the abuse.
I hear that.
I'd rather be smacked around than do what that happened. Not that I'll ever be smacked around, but that feeling that I had on November 21st and then November 23rd, the betrayal, when it's like on the front cover, mob wife star, ex-husband's a snitch, I was broken.
Well, so the internet's full of shit, right?
Okay.
Like, let's face the facts.
Right.
Like, how did you actually find out? Because it didn't come from him, right?
The
He
newspaper.
didn't tell you. Oh, that's awful.
So everybody he didn't say nothing. And once he was gone, he was gone. It was more about, there were little like bits and pieces, but I couldn't believe what I heard because I'd never believed that. But it was like a couple days later and it was in the Post. and I was rocked.
Did you believe it?
No.
So that's the thing. Because you guys were trying to reconcile, right?
Eventually, yes. Eventually, we had one last conversation where he told me, and I said, "Don't ever speak to me again." And that was 15 years ago. No conversation.
I don't blame you.
Right? How could you? How could you blame me? Like, I'm a good woman with a great family, and you wore a wire in my house.
Yeah.
And you know what, Brooke? My thing with a person like him, or any man or any woman that could do this, you're never going to bully me to shut me up. That doesn't work for me. Bullying me is really, you will lose. I don't like a bully. And that's the position I feel like I'm in right now, to be quiet, to be silenced, to not speak my mind or tell my story to help another person. So I think for me, that's why I have to turn it down, because I'll get locked up and be calling you to bail me out.
Yeah. So the pieces that I think are most, let me give you the obvious. I do not come from a mob family, so I will tell you the obvious. I sit back here and I'm like, what's worse, wearing a wire to get yourself less time, or just doing the time? Because I can't imagine your dad and the affiliates there was more than just your dad, right? There was a few other people.
Yes.
Are all too happy to welcome this guy out of prison, because he's in prison again, right? Hector's incarcerated. So, I mean, I would think that you'd be more afraid to wear the wire and expose people than you would to just do the time, because it's
right. But why do they have to be afraid? Look at the ones that come before him that are all walking around, that all have their podcasts, that are all talking about, like, what do they have to be afraid of nowadays? You know what I mean? So everybody's wearing a wire. Everybody's an informant. If you ask me, I trust nobody.
I don't blame you. Well, especially after what happened to you. I don't blame you at all.
So this informant thing, they're just running amok.
Yeah.
And my issue with that is the government is allowing it. Like,
they're responsible, right?
Aren't they supposed to be responsible? Let's say I get threatened. Aren't they supposed to be responsible for what am I, a civilian? Yeah, I'm a civilian. I'm like the regular girl. And, the fact that I have to, let's say, think about an order of protection for my life. Where are these men? Where are the men? I look at this, I look at my ex-husband, I'm like, oh, what a punk. Like, oh, what a disappointment.
So you find out through the newspaper, which I'm sorry, that's awful.
Yeah, it was pretty.
You don't believe it, rightfully so. I don't think I would have believed it either. Then you have a conversation with him. So I assume you didn't believe it until you actually heard it from him.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you have a conversation with him. How does that conversation go? Do you come right out and say, did you do it?
I believe I asked. It was so long ago, I can't tell you
fine.
word for word, but I'm sure the feds could pull it up on their recorded conversations. He said it to me, and that was it. I hung up, don't ever speak to me again, hung up, and that was it. Literally, that's how it ended for me. So I think that's a lot. That's another thing with me. I didn't get to say my goodbye the way I'd like to.
Yeah.
So I think I do that in my interviews, because, people are like, why do you talk about this, Luz? And I'm like, because I'm sorry, I didn't get my get back. Mm-hmm. So if I express how I feel, it's not about him really, and it has got nothing to do with him anymore. It has to do with the fact of the scars that are on my heart, that live in my head from the betrayal. It's got none, like, he's nothing, absolutely, trust me. For me, it's more about women need to really stick together, and we need to, have more encouragement between women and defend one another, because these men are just doing this to and I'm not just talking about gangsters, I'm talking about men in general, betrayal, the con game, the lying, and women do it too. So I'm not gonna, say it's not even. I just feel as, a survivor, domestic violence survivor, that if we don't unify ourselves with each other and lean on each other, what good is my story if I can't tell it?
Sure.
Right? So if I can't tell somebody how I hurt and healed, what good is my story?
How did your dad take it?
I think my father was crushed.
Yeah.
Because I think my father expected to have at least one person in the camp. So I think it was very heartbreaking because it was the takedown of our family, like the internal family, not the outside, not the men. It was in our household. So my father had to watch me fall apart. Mm-hmm. So I think the anger, woo! I think after the initial shock of this rat fuck, sorry, I'm not allowed to curse. I don't know.
You can curse. I curse.
Okay. I know I watched the clip where Drita goes, I don't curse all the I get
the big one? Curse. And the 20, she goes, I'm not going to curse this whole time. And there was 40 seconds of reel of cursing.
I know, so I'm just trying to watch my language.
Be true to yourself.
Like I said, rat fuck. I think after my father experienced the initial shock of it, it was more of I guess this is what it is. This is what the game has turned into. Yeah.
You have a son.
Yes, I do.
How's your son fared through all of this?
My son is absolutely amazing. He definitely is pro-mom. Yeah. He became an amazing parent. He has 4 children.
Oh, so you have grandchildren. Awesome.
Yeah, I have 4. He's married. He has a wonderful wife. My son is very mentally healthy. He works a normal job, and watching him, be a football coach or baseball, and watching him have a different life than he had is probably the greatest thing for me, and also I think the sweetest revenge. My son gets to be happy and healthy.
I want to talk about mob wives.
Which
I would argue.
Talk about those bitches.
Yeah. I would argue it was reality's best show at that point to date.
I agree.
100%. Let's talk about your casting. I'm so interested because I understand you were the last one cast. Is that right?
Okay. So
how did they almost leave you off of
I wasn't almost. So it's my sister's show.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to let me know that I was going to be on it because I drive her nuts. So although she'll say to you this and that one, or I believe it's Drita was her first pick, I was always her first pick because she grew up with me, and I'm not taking that from Drita.
Take that, Drita.
No.
We love you though.
No. I won't take that from her.
No, I'm teasing you.
Right. I won't take that from her because honestly, we might not see eye to eye, but and I've said it before, she's a funny bitch. She definitely is. She's
hysterical.
She has, I have my own lane. She has her own lane. Some of them we have to group together because they're all in the same lane. But I think Ange had her own lane. I think that we're all different. I think that we're all brilliant women. I also know that not everybody gets along. Fame does change people.
Well, it wouldn't be reality if you all got along, right?
Right, but it also fame changes people.
How?
Okay, this is going to sound delusional, but I'll say it. So in my mind, I was always famous because we always had newspapers around. So for me, a camera was no big deal. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean where I come from, there was a different, it's not fame, but what's the best way for me to say? These men were looked at like they were Hollywood they were looked at like that because Hollywood was copying them. So there was a fame already there. So for me, I kind of, I had a limousine when we were, I had those things. And I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody because my father always said, you're not better than anybody, but nobody's better than you either. So I think for me, watching how when the money started coming in and it was bigger money and you got more airtime, watching the personalities was where the conflict came. And there was a lot of big personalities that my sister had to contend with.
One thing I did not, so Drita was on the podcast, as you know, and one thing I did not get to ask her about is Big Ange. We're running short of time.
Okay.
That crushed all of us when that news came out. The people that watched Mob Wives, it was crushing. Talk to me about your dynamic with Big Ange off camera.
So I know Big Ange the longest because Angela was best friends with my father's youngest sister, Celia. So Angela was around all of my life, and my older sister, Lana, as well. So Angela was she was just a different type of energy. She didn't, want conflict. She wanted positivity. She wanted to be happy and have a couple of glasses of champagne and enjoy herself. She definitely didn't like the confrontation. I was very close with Angela, and then our relationship did change throughout the show. What I could tell you now is actually I'm on tour with her daughter. Yeah, we go on tour, the Mob Wife sit-down tour. Angela...
It's okay.
Okay. Angela was in a league of her own.
Okay.
She definitely was. She's a Cancer. She's very giving. She was more of a lover, and just like wanted to really live life to its fullest. And I'm glad, looking back, I'm glad she did live it the way she always said, you don't know when your last day is. So she lived like it was her last day when she was out. So, it's a very sad thing that her life was cut short. But like I said, television, Mob Wives, there was a lot of issues with all the girls and things that my ex-husband did, and there was a lot of hard feelings. So the personalities changed the relationships.
So talking about Mob Wives, so again, we won't get back into it, but it was like around season 2 for us, when all of this went down with the informant stuff. But given that these other people on the show have ties to people, right, in the mob of some degree, whether it's daughter, whether it's a wife, whatever, did you find that they changed? Any of the other women changed towards you after your ex-husband came out as an informant?
Absolutely. So did a lot of people. I have a checklist. Yeah. Oh, trust and believe me. I remember how everybody's treated me. The girls had to work with me, who was really going to distance themselves from me on Mob Wives? Obviously Karen couldn't because her father is one. Drita, her father was a soccer, for college. So her father was a regular good father. You know what I mean? So why is she going to feel some type of way about it? Carla, look at the girls. So those particular girls weren't calling me any names. However, I did watch people treat me differently because they thought I knew, which is the biggest insult in the world to me.
I thought you knew that your ex was an informant?
They said, how could she not have known? People distanced themselves from me. Let me tell you something. And you're an attorney, so you know I'd get in trouble at some point if I meant it, which I don't. If I would have known, I would have smothered them. If I would never let anybody. It's first and foremost, it's not even about my son paid the consequence more than anybody. Do you know that? Like my son paid that consequence. My father signed up for a lifestyle. Okay, my father knows what the rules are. He knows how the game is played. Betrayal is betrayal. But my son, he paid the biggest consequence. So there's no way I would have let anybody or not have told my father if I would have known. But I did not know. And everybody knows now I didn't know. Because we're 15, 16 years in, and obviously I'm still exactly where I was.
And you can't cherry pick loyalty. Like, you were loyal to Hector for a long time, even when you shouldn't have been, right? Now, and you're obviously loyal to your family, right? Your parent, your dad, Yep. Why would you choose Hector over your dad when you have a son and a whole family?
I don't know.
It doesn't add up with your actions leading up to that. So the fact that they would think that is
Well, my family knew I'd never, but people on the outside I think they thought I possibly could go along because I loved him that way. And after, when you watch a woman go through all these things and then she goes backwards and stays with the person, I think for me, that's what people were looking at. Today, I really don't care about the people I once cared about. I know who I am. I know I never left. I didn't have to run and hide like an informant does. I don't have to. I could live out in the open. Then again, these informants do that too. Jesus Christ, they're from Boca, Del Rey. They run around these streets like they're allowed to. Go to an island. You ruin so many people's lives. An informant doesn't just ruin the criminal's life. Because the criminals can adjust to jail. It's the family. How about all these people that are murdered by these men that are allowed to tell and get away with it? I don't understand that. I don't. I don't know. Like, if you take something from my kid, I'm coming to get it. So I don't understand. I don't care about the government in that respect. Like, if you're going to try to hurt my child, that's a shame that we have that going on. That it's a shame.
We have it going on, and the government's playing a role in it, which I think is the harder part of it, because we're all growing up in this country where the government's supposed to be, land of the free, right? The government's supposed to protect us. And clearly for somebody like your family, that didn't happen.
Well, and they'd probably look at it and say, well, her father chose to be a criminal. Yeah, that's my father did. I didn't. I don't even think my father had a choice as a child. I don't think that the choices were like we have today.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He was an uneducated. He didn't go to school. You know, he comes from my dad, 11 brothers and sisters, dirt poor, broke, broken family, all of that. So you know what? He did what he had to do. And I love my father. And I don't care what his job was, because my father loved his children. And he died ultimately for the word family in general. So you know what? My father was a very loyal man, very loyal. And I see a lot of my dad in my son, so much more than his own father, because AJ would never, like, the betrayal, it's the betrayal.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than betrayal. Nothing. I'm sorry. I've been through so much in my life, from death on an operating table to everything else. Nothing is worse than betrayal to somebody that you dedicated your life to, that you stood by when you shouldn't have. Nothing is worse than that.
I want to talk about mob wives a little bit more.
Shoot, let's go.
Let's talk about
that.
So many big personalities. I mean, your sister she did a very great job casting it. Who did you have the most conflict with? Now, I know if you saw it, you would see, but for you, who did you find it hardest to work with? Like, who did you have the most conflict with?
I think Carla, and that's the crazy part, because Carla and I brought Carla to the show.
Sure.
Right. So Carla and I were friends from the age of 16, So for me, like, Drita and Karen and Ramona, those are all my sister's friends. Those were not my friends. Carla was. So for me, that was the biggest conflict. Drita and I always had our go back and forth. But I actually watched a clip not too long ago where I said, what were we on? St. John's Wood? She was so nice to me that day.
St. John's Wort.
Yes, we don't do drugs. So St. John's Wort's all natural. No. I had conflict, the most conflict, I think, with her. I wouldn't even say I had that type of conflict with Alicia. I had many arguments. I mean, I could fight with the screen and the brick wall behind me. You know what I mean? That's just me. I'm a confrontational person, but I'm also a very loving person. But Carla would be the one that I had the biggest problem with. Yeah.
When you watch Mob Wives, it feels so raw. Like, this cannot be set up. Oh, you've never watched it? That was another.
No. Okay, go.
No, you go.
Okay, I'll go. I only watched the episode the one time. So we didn't know what episodes were airing. So we only get to see it when it aired. So that's why there was so much turmoil in that show, is because we're watching it. We're having a great time. We go back into we watch the episode the next day. I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? So I think that was a huge problem, but that's why that show is so iconic too.
Was there any part of it that was staged?
I wish. People go, are you an actress? I'm lying now and telling them I am. Yeah. Did that really happen to you? I'm like, I can't lie about what's really happened to me, because like I said, if I can't share my story, then what was it for?
Sure.
And I don't think God gives somebody a story so drastic not to share it. No, what stage? There are some personalities on that show that think they're actresses.
But if it's not staged,
it's called direction.
Right. Okay. Understood. I want to talk about Drita a little bit.
Sure.
So there was a while where I thought you guys were gonna come together and get along. I was praying, actually, that you guys, because you guys would be like a force field.
Forget it.
The two of you.
Unstoppable.
Right.
Unstoppable.
And so we watch this happen. Then shit goes down again. Mm-hmm. And then we're praying you make up and you kind of don't. And then the image we all got was it didn't really all work out in the end. Why do you think you guys couldn't make it work?
I personally can make anything work if I truly like the person. Mm-hmm. If I was to see Drita this specific moment, I would say, hello, how are you?
Sure.
She would probably be rude, because that's her personality is different than mine. She might be like, "What's up?" You know, she might walk right past me. I'm a grandmother of 4. I'm a different person than I was. I also, if you watch me throughout the years, anybody I did have confrontation with, I always ended up saying sorry.
Yes.
From Alicia to Brittany to whoever because I'm a different personality that way. I also, I'm based off emotions. So that's where you get the hothead Renee, but that's where you get the person who's very real and in touch with life, because I'm a human. And I know I'm human. So humans screw up. I'm sorry. When I came home from treatment, I sent everyone who I wronged a text, I asked them if they'd meet me. I did send it to Drita, but I'm blocked. But I didn't know it was blocked until afterwards, because I was like, imagine she's not saying that. And they're like, you're blocked. That's why it says nothing at the bottom. But I even apologized. If I hurt her in any way, I would apologize for it. I can acknowledge what I've done wrong. She doesn't have to accept the apology. That's perfectly fine. But I'm always capable of saying I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Jackie, who's sitting to my left, knows I screw up in life. Do I apologize when I'm wrong?
Yes. Let me ask, so with I have a couple questions about the show, but with the show, are there any fights you kind of look back at, or confrontation we'll call them, that you look back at and stick out in your mind as a hard point for you with filming? Because there were times where it was very obvious that the filming, like the actual show, got to you in a lot of ways.
Oh, you mean when I had that fight in Vegas? I was high as a kite.
We might be going there.
That's fine.
Sure.
I was high as a kite. And I asked them several times, more than several times, don't put me in the scene, I'm going to hit her. And I don't fight. So I was high, drunk, and I don't even drink. That's what's funny. So I drank on the flight there, and I partied. So I said, don't put me in the scene, don't put me in the scene, don't put me. I kept saying to them, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get into a physical, like, it's going to get bad. Don't do it, don't do it. I clearly told them, don't push me. They pushed me, and you saw what happened. Now, I don't like to be challenged in a disrespectful way, and I'm not tough. I'm lucky I can fight my way in a wet paper bag with holes. I'm not a physical fighter. However, Xanax made me strong. I don't know. It made me a very different person. So that was the price that production team and everybody else ended up causing, because I asked them not to do it. And when I tell you, multiple times. Matter of fact, the security, there was like, these men had to be like 6'5" and sitting around. And I was like, don't touch me. And they had to call my sister, who had to sit on me to calm me down, because I was blacked out, angry, blacked out.
You know, most of the conflict, though, you were not in a time. I mean, you were in your own, right? Some, but a lot of it was between Drita and Karen.
Whew. Yeah.
And we on the outside felt uncomfortable with some of that, but how was it being part of it? Because you were there when that was happening.
It was uncomfortable because you were splitting the 4 women down the middle, and we were taking sides. And it was this time in our lives where we all felt like, let's stand behind there was 4 of us, so you got to go. It's not 3 against, it wasn't 3 against 1. It was 2 against 2. You know what I mean? I think it was very uncomfortable. A lot of the conversations weren't comfortable. You know, a lot of the remarks were really like, I don't curse like that. I don't say, there's a lot of things that they've said on that show that never would come out of my mouth. Sure. You know what I mean? That I was like, woo. But, you know, again, it all boils down to betrayal. Everything we've spoken about is betrayal.
And you've had enough of that.
Oh, hell yeah. That is not welcome in my life. There is anyone who even attempted it, you know, they're not even going to get a shot, actually.
On the topic of betrayal, right? If you see it as a betrayal or not. But most people don't know and are actually surprised to hear that Mob Wives was produced by Harvey Weinstein.
Mob Wives is my sister's show, created by my sister, executive produced by my sister. We went to Harvey. What happened with that is all the other meetings that we took, they were passing. They were afraid of us. I really firmly believe that. When Harvey heard it, Harvey took it to them, and that's how it happened. So although I know Harvey was involved in it, he was never involved with us.
Did you ever meet him?
Many times.
Did you ever get to know him at all?
He was never, a lot of women don't like me for this comment. He never was disrespectful to me, but that's it. I didn't look like any of the women that were disrespected, so. And how are you going to disrespect somebody's kid? You'd have to be really brave.
Well,
Different situation.
I'll say with that, everybody has their own story. I don't know
Right.
that people are going to judge you because he never disrespected you. But I mean, I'll put it this way. What was your reaction when, you must have seen it come across the news when it finally hit.
I don't have a reaction anymore. My ex-husband.
At the time.
Yeah, but you have to remember something. My ex-husband cooperated. There is nothing that is worse in the world. So Harvey, to me, was just another guy who, I don't want to disrespect any women. It's because I've also been in the position of some of those women.
Sure.
So for me, I don't think I was that surprised. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. A lot of things happen in Hollywood that are really messed up. You know what I mean? Not close enough to that fire, never been, but I know what those women experienced. That I can say. Not from him, but I know what that feels like. And again, betrayal, trust, betrayal.
Did you ever think that Mob Wives was going to be as successful as it was?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All along, even before it ever even made the sizzle reel, I knew it. You're talking about something that we weren't allowed to talk about, which we paid for. It was a show of shows. It was just it was fire. It was fire. Everybody wants to see the glamorous woman. Everybody wants to know what, the women of the movies that we saw, the Goodfellas and Godfather, they want to know what the women were like. So we showed you.
You say, though, that you paid the price. How?
We paid the price. My father didn't talk to Jennifer and I for 2 years. My father ultimately, paid the price in his world. So I think for me, Jennifer and I'll speak on direct. My father was and died still very well respected. But I think for me, not Jennifer, for me, I have a little guilt with that. I have a little guilt. Like, I feel like maybe if I didn't do this. But you know what? I did it.
Do you ever wonder or wish and go back and say...
No, I wouldn't change anything.
You wouldn't change a thing?
No, what? You know how many people have actually contacted me and have gotten out of bad relationships or have gone to treatment? Why would I change? Why? If God puts, in my mind, God puts us here to help the next, right? I've helped more than one. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm a mob wife and, God, a mob made, God saved. That's how I look at it, and I just think it's, he gave me what he did, God, because he knew I can help somebody else. And he gave it to a strong woman. So that's what I am. I'm a strong woman.
And that this bleeds into the next question, which is, how did the show change your life for the better and for the worse?
For the worse was the humiliation. Forget about what everybody else did to me, what I did to myself.
Fair.
Oof, horrible. And for the better, I'm able to help people. I'm able to touch another life and, make another soul feel calm and just loved. I love the word love. I love people. I wish the world could be a better place. And if we don't all continue to try, it won't be.
One thing to celebrate, right, is your sobriety.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're very outspoken about that.
Well, yeah, again, you don't get a story like mine or, many others. I'm not different from anybody. Just maybe, what happened in my story is. But I'm an addict in recovery, and I will always be that. But
you have really gone through it with the addiction,
Woo.
Ups and the downs. And you've also, listen, people deal with things differently. You've had a lot of ups and downs in life too. So I think it's, unfortunately a byproduct of probably everything. But when did addiction in your life start? How did that process start for you?
I think it started with men in power, and all because of my insecurity. I'm people wouldn't know it even today. I'm an insecure woman. I have insecurities. I'm not as insecure as I was. I didn't know I was really as pretty as I am until maybe a few years ago. I was always trying to change myself. We saw that I did that physically. I did it with hairstyles. I did it with clothes. I did it with men, dating in my own culture, out of my culture. I tried to change myself and change the way I felt all of my life before drugs. Drugs played a part from the age of 13. It was the first time I kind of did drugs. And then cocaine was my drug of choice. And I just felt it was like, and it wasn't a lot. Like people think it was so much. It wasn't that. It was just, it helped me not think of the things I didn't want to think about myself. So it kind of like made my brain not think about you're ugly, you're not smart, you're never going to be anything, because that's what my brain told me, because my first boyfriend was very abusive too. So it was a pattern for me with abusive men. And the beautiful thing about sobriety for me is I actually figured that out. Like I got to look back and be like, I'd never date him. Now, where before I'd be like, oh, look, you see him? He's so good looking. Now I'd be like, not that one. This, I learned a lot from my experience, and I'm going to continue to, keep helping the next person learn about themselves the best way they can. There's that little bit of love that we need, the addict, and I believe it's most addicts. We're missing love. There's like a hole in your heart, and we fill it with everything that we possibly can. It's food, it's weight, there's so many different things. Depression, anxiety. There's a hole in your heart. Sometimes it heals. Like I was actually born with a heart murmur too. Like I feel like when I started to love me, like everything started to mesh. Like I like me today. Do I love me? I'm not too sure, but I like me. And that's a really great start. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What I love about myself is I love that I know how to love another human. I love that I can help another human. I love that I love my son to the point that I would lay down and die for him. Those are things I love about myself. My loyalty, my compassion, my empathy. That's what I love about Renee.
And it's funny because all those three words are right on your form. You were saying those things and I was staring. I didn't see the other form.
Well, okay, this says faith, hope, and freedom. And for me, is if you have faith, there is hope and freedom from what binds you. And this is who I am. I'm passionate, loving, and loyal. Those are my tattoos. Along with shh on my finger and caution and chaos, because I would take my Xanax.
We all need the shush one. So.
More people than others need the shh on them. I wonder what his name is.
Oh, yes, true. We're not going to, though thou that shall not be named, that we've already named probably 10
Rat
times.
Bastard. That's
Rat
his
Bastard.
name.
Oh, yeah,
Rat
that's
Bastard.
good. Can't get you for that, right?
No, absolutely not. Informant, rat, stool pigeon, bird on the wire. No.
What else? I want some more. Those are good.
What else is there? There's rat, informant, bird on a wire,
You said
yellow belly dog, coward, pussy punk bitch.
Yeah. No, like I said,
I can do
they
this
get
list.
better. They get better as you go.
They do. However, I love my nose job.
Because I understand sobriety's in the last couple of years, which is congratulations again. But during the filming, you touched on this a little bit. High as a kite. Okay.
Half of the season I was, half of the season I was always getting sober. That's one thing about me is I could have 6 months trip up for like 2 weeks, get back on the horse for another 3 months. I can get sober, couldn't stay sober. Yeah. But I would always, I was never high the whole entire season. There were some episodes I thought I was a Martian. I was that high in my own UFO and everything. As long as it wasn't the FBI, the UFO is fine.
Yeah.
Even though they're all government-ran programs.
Yeah.
They'll be at my house tonight, I'll disappear. If I'm not here tomorrow, they got me.
Yeah. How were you able to, well, let me ask, did you have to sneak the drugs on set? Or did you do it and then you would be shooting?
It was my house.
Yeah, I know, but there was also the set as set up.
No, there's no set. It was our house.
Yeah, but I understand that, but there were cameras, production was there.
So it's in my boobs.
I see.
Or my pocketbook. I wasn't worried about anybody there. They weren't going to tell me or touch me or do anything to me. That wasn't it. But when I went off the deep end, I went off the deep end. You'll see me drink on Mob Wives. I'm not a drinker. It was Xanax that is what broke me, Xanax. Cocaine always played a part in my story, not what broke me. And then we got to remember, I was also on dilaudid, however you say it, for 6 straight months. Actually, that was a lie. It's more like a year from the MRSA. You know, I had that hole to my spine. So I was, and that was always prescribed, taken the way it was supposed to. The pain meds were not my thing. They were. I got clean from them in 2010, didn't touch them like that. Xanax was especially after he cooperated, that was the only way I could do life. I think, and I know this sounds bad, but I think if I wasn't self-medicating, I would have maybe not been here today. So I think it kept me alive. How about that?
No.
Because I was sleeping. I wanted to sleep through my pain. And that was what I knew how to do.
So what was your coming to Jesus moment to finally find that permanent sobriety for you?
I only hope to God it's permanent, but I look at it like this. Every day is one day. That's it. I don't count days. I don't do anything like that. My come to Jesus moment, I considered him like a brother. His name was Nietzsche. He committed suicide. And because I had an OD in September 18th of 23. He died October 31st. And I didn't go away till November 2nd. So between September and October, Renee wasn't quitting, even from the OD. It was his death that ultimately, I didn't want to do life. I felt I called my son, I told him I don't want to do life no more. He also knows that I'm Catholic, and I would, it's like such a sin that if you did that. So in my mind, I wasn't going to heaven, and I have to get to heaven because that's where my dad is, you know what I mean? So I could see him again. So for me, sorry. That was it, yeah.
The overdose in 2023, was that...
Thank you.
My understanding was that was an overdose, but there was something with...
It was laced. It was cocaine laced. Somebody laced it, obviously.
With what?
Fentanyl. That wasn't my drug of choice. I'll tell you everything I've ever done. You know what I mean? It's cocaine, Xanax. I say champagne, cocaine, Xanax, and pain meds that were removed. I never did the heavy drugs like that. And that was really embarrassing to die in a restaurant, but to die publicly, in a restaurant and be revived. The girl's name was Grace. That saved my life. It's one of my favorite words from God, grace and mercy. Those are my favorite words. If I was to have 2 kids now, which I'm not and can't, grace and mercy, that would be their names. Because I think that's the greatest gift we get from is grace and mercy. Of course, the love, but...
Wasn't your time?
No, and that's been about 6 times, I think. Not just with that, car accidents, things that I'd like to think I'm a black cat. People are like, she's a loon. Is she high now? No, I'm not.
High on life, right? That's what you say.
Yeah, no, I think when I'm in good company, life is just so great, Because let me tell you, I'm a Cancer, so I'm moody as fuck. When I'm not in good company, nobody wants to see me. But when I'm in the element that I'm in right now, I just feel like I'm free. Like I have this ability to still help another human. And I think that's, for me, is what I'm here for.
For those out there struggling with substance abuse, what advice do you have for them?
Well, actually, you have another guest here who has a treatment center. So I would suggest that they call whatever hotline they can. And Archangel Centers in New Jersey is available and open. So, yeah, I would suggest treatment. I would suggest, this is something I never thought I'd say, therapy. I go to therapy. I like
help you?
I like my therapist. Yeah,
See?
So she's really, really good. So therapy, make sure you have that one friend you can tell anything to, and that will, not when I say catch you when you fall, catch you, but not enable you to constantly fall. Make sure you have somebody that understands you, that understands whether it's mental illness or addiction, drug addiction. But you gotta gotta really want it, because I've been to treatment 13 times, and I'll tell you, 13 is a good luck number in Italian, so that's really why I did it 13 times. No. Get help immediately. Street drugs are no longer what they used. Like, times have changed. Like, you're not getting the drugs from the old days. That's why I think people partied back then. It was different. We don't really hear that many stories about, ODs back then compared to, you can't even trust it. You can't trust something that comes from a pharmacy, that comes from somebody. How are you going to trust somebody that comes, trust something off the street? I would say treatment center.
Do you know they say that behind every strong woman is a stronger therapist?
I say behind every strong woman is her other personality. No.
Yeah, it's probably, and that too. But that's why you need the therapist.
Yeah, I actually have a female therapist. I like her very much. And she's a logical woman. She thinks, she's never had I was going to call myself a customer. She's never had anyone like me, never had a patient. I'm a patient with no patience. She's never had a patient like me before. She said she's never met anybody like me. So she's actually, I think it kind of broadens her as well in a way, because touching on a subject that she's never heard before, or a situation, I should say. She's heard the subject many times, but the situations.
I have a couple less questions.
Shoot.
Big Brother.
Oh my God, I needed therapy after that.
We all need therapy after that season.
What? Are you kidding? I called a therapist. They had to bring me a therapist because that fucking Kid Bear, let me tell you, they ration your food on this show, right? He was throwing out, now I'm Italian, so all I need is peas, chi-chis. I can make pasta with anything. Pasta peas, pasta this, that's what I got. He dumped my olive oil every time they gave me a new one, and he crushed my garlic, and he would throw it out, and I was devastated. I have my eggs. I couldn't make chicken cutlets, nothing. This is what he did to me, and it affected me so bad that he would get in trouble, and they were like, how can we fix that? I said, I want a fucking psychiatrist every day in here so I could get a break. And they brought him to me, and it was wonderful. I just really didn't want to film with everybody 24 fucking hours. I needed like 23 for them, 1 for me. I had a great psychiatrist, and he was a shrink too. He was great. That show was rough.
Why do you think you were so good at it?
Because I'm Renee. No. Because I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter. I'm passionate. You're not going to push me around. You're a man. You will not push me around. And I actually have to thank my ex-husband for that, because he taught me what it felt like to be pushed around. And you know what I learned? You're not going to push me around. And you really saw it in Celebrity Big Brother. Like, I was backing them down. The real heavy kid, he died.
Yep.
But they were all coming for me. I was like, sit the fuck down. Where's your mother? So it was an experience.
One of my favorite shows, by the way, is Traitors. Have you seen this show?
No.
You got to get on.
I'm up for it.
They have to cast you.
I think they're casting more peacocky.
I'm obsessed. No, they're not. They're casting Big Brother. You have to get on this show.
I think Traitors is really grabbing their people first. Like,
who cares?
It's fine. I'm up for it. I just don't know if they thought I'm up for it as far as the challenge. Now they're going to hear you're up for it. Yeah. I just want to do all the outfits.
You would be amazing. How about Lisa Rinna's outfits? Weren't those amazing?
You didn't watch it. I know that Dolores won.
Dolores, yeah.
I love
her
Dolores.
Outfits were great too.
Yes,
we talked all about packing and everything else. But.
Yeah, I was a stylist, so the packing's going to be easy for me. I just personally, Traitors would be great. The thing with me with these names, like House of Villains, Traitors, I'm not a traitor and I'm not a villain. But everybody's like, Renee, if they asked you to do the show, would you do it? Absolutely. Could I do it? Drita won, hands down deserved it. Hands down deserved it. I hate that name, fucking Traitors, because I'm so not, I take things literal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'd be like, I'm not a traitor though, But yeah, I do it. Would I sleep in a coffin? I wouldn't.
Mob Wives come back with a reboot. Are you gonna join? I wouldn't sleep in a coffin either, by the way.
I'm sorry, I was sticking before I put in it. I dribbled.
I just got you. I thought you got excited for the question.
Yeah, I did. I heard it coming out as if Mob Wives comes back. Would I? Am I? Is more like it. Am I doing it?
It's coming back.
I would love to say that it is this very second, but I'd probably get my ass kicked and like I'd get in trouble from my sister. But I believe it'll come back.
Will you be in it?
Hell yeah.
You're
Yeah.
the OG.
Right. Right.
They have to bring Drita back too. They have to bring everybody back.
Not
they give Big
happening.
Brad.
Definitely
You
not.
know?
Definitely not.
Who's your non-negotiable? If they bring back, you're not doing it. What are your terms?
My terms are you're going to pay me really well.
Fair.
My terms are I will not work with certain people anymore, period. I don't want to call anybody's name out. I've changed a lot. And there are certain women, not just like one or two, there's more that my views have changed and it would be very hard for me to be fake and phony to somebody. Like who I once was is not who I am today. So I think if I had to pick, Alicia, Drita.
Are coming back or not coming back?
No. You said if I had to work with
Wait, that's what I'm saying.
I said if I had to, those would be the two I could work with.
I mean, we'd
that-
be all in on those three.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, that's really out of left field. And it's not like that I don't have hate for anybody. I don't hate anyone at all that I've worked with. I don't hate. Marissa's great. Brittany's great. I don't hate anybody. I just wish everybody well and happiness and luck and money over there. That's it, over there. If I can't feel, when I'm in your company, if I can't feel that I can trust you, I don't want to be there anymore. I just don't. I'm done. I'm done. I'll tell you how I feel about you. I've never been shy with that. I can tell a person how I feel. I could apologize. People could say I'm fake, I'm phony, I flip-flop. I don't fucking flip-flop. The only thing that flip-flops is a flip-flop on my foot. I can change my opinion about a person, and that's where people get it twisted. It's not flip-flopping. It's called evolving. It's called growth. Who I once was, who I am today, I'm not going to be tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not going to be here tomorrow because I actually have a job, like a job. I'm going there tomorrow. So
Good.
excited. Yeah.
Do we get details or no?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Let's hear it.
It's actually at Mike the Situations Treatment Center. I'm doing an art and or music class.
It's awesome.
Yes. Isn't it?
That's therapeutic too?
Well, I'm a life coach. I
So
have my certificate in life coaching, and I'm actually working on something else right now. I just, paint how you feel. Like, you do it through color and you do it through music, and I'm super excited for it.
Well, it has been a pleasure, and it's been so much fun.
Thank you. Likewise.
So we will see you on the reboot. That's got to be coming.
Absolutely. Come
of
on,
Mob
Jen.
Wives. Come on, Jen.
Yes. Thank you.
Sure thing.